Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Fox Den. Tonight we have the lovely Mama D
No, she's not lovely
suffering
tonight.
from a head cold. The
I have
poor.
a man cold. I have a man cold because you know why it's a man cold? Because I can't stop complaining about it.
It's so true. So if you see her mute herself, it's because she's sneezing, and she doesn't need to do that because she sneezes so cutely. She goes. So if you guys catch her sneezing, share the show once for every sneeze. All right, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But tonight we have an awesome, awesome guest with Judi Miller. And I'm going to play, like I always do, I'm going to play her intro video, explain who she is, a little bit about her book, Perfect. And she will be with us as
Just
soon
who
as
she
it
is.
ends. And she's so cute, you're going to love her.
She's adorable.
Good evening and welcome to the Fox Den. I'm Gina B, here with Mama D every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as our pop-up shows. Judi Miller is our guest tonight. She was a highly successful CPA and corporate finance executive who, unknown to her co-workers, lived in terror of the night and the possibility of sexual assault. Happily married with children, her fears made her life a modern-day nightmare. But worse, she had no idea why. There was nothing in her personal past that would warrant this near constant state of fear. In her new book, Perfect, A Path to Love, Forgiveness, and Transformation, she relates the extraordinary path she took to discover the root of those fears. It's an amazing journey that Judi was guided to take that brought the exact right people together in the exact right order to right a wrong committed decades ago, before her birth, but which left its shadow on her soul. Today you'll hear from her about the spiritual journey that unfolded, which opened her heart, enabled forgiveness across multiple generations, and showed her the perfection of all that we are. Welcome to the Fox Den, Judi. And here she is. I told you she was cute. And hi, Sharon. How
Hi.
you doing? I love you guys. Please share the show. We always ask you that. Share the show. Subscribe on YouTube. If you're listening to our Anchor FM venues, any one of them, and you could have seen before, there are a whole bunch of them that go across the top of the screen. Any one of those, go to our YouTube channel, The Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, and subscribe. Hit the notification button. That way you can see the show, you can see the videos, you can see the book covers that we're putting up, and you'll never miss a show if you hit the notification button. All right? So,
Wait. And when you
yes.
get there and you see me all no makeup and red nose, tough. Deal with it.
Yeah, poor Mama D and her cold. I feel so bad.
It was a man who gave it to me. That's why it's a man cold.
Yeah. Well, she has been bitching about it, so yeah, that's why she calls it a man cold. But anyway, so Judi, Judi, welcome
Oh, I
to
love you
the
too. It's great to be here.
So in that video, we did find out a little bit about you. So if you want to tell us a little bit more about you, your background and whatnot, and why you decided to write this book, Perfect.
Sure, I'd love to. So, Gina B and Mama D, have you ever felt different?
Yeah.
Like you didn't belong?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Have you ever felt incomplete? Always searching maybe for someone or something to make you feel whole?
Mm-hmm.
And if you were like me, maybe you felt unworthy, always having to prove yourself over and over again.
Hmm.
Still do.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
that's my own thing.
Man, yeah, in the man's world too. So there's two ways that street can go. But yeah. Yep.
And the reason I ask you these questions is because these feelings literally have plagued me for most of my life. I was actually born in Trinidad, which is an island in the Caribbean, and I moved. And you know Trinidad, that's fantastic because most people actually don't. So I'm very impressed, Mama D.
That's because I'm going to go retire there. My best friend, who I met on the internet, said that when I retire, I can go retire in her gated little household. I'm there. Give me an umbrella, and I'm there.
That sounds perfect.
Yeah.
And I moved to the U.S. when I was really young, and I didn't look like other people in my neighborhood. It's not about race or discrimination. I just didn't look like other people. I always felt different. I was also born with 11 fingers, and people ask me today how many I have. I have 10, but up until I was 13, I had more than 10.
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah, so if you remember when you were 13 years old, you probably didn't want to stand out.
Right.
I know that I didn't
I
want to
know.
stand out.
I kind of did. I've always been this way. I'm sorry. I kind of did.
Oh,
Um,
that's
Nicki
wonderful.
Minaj. We got Nicki Minaj is from Trinidad.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, she is.
That was a good one, JoJo. Way to go.
And I also had the ability to sense and feel different spirits, especially at night. And, as alluded to in the introduction, I always had this fear of being sexually assaulted, and I'd never been assaulted. So, as you could imagine, these fears as a child didn't make any sense. So, I actually started my career as a CPA, and it was probably the perfect profession for me because as a CPA, everything made sense. It was so logical, whereas the rest of my life made absolutely no sense.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that because you can hide with the numbers and you can hide with a calculator, and and you don't have to deal with all that stuff. And yeah, and it will come out accurate because it has to.
That's right.
Or you work your fingers to the bone. I went to accounting school.
But
This has got to go up. Here you go. From my adorable George driving through, I see all three Charlie's Angels.
Oh,
Hope everyone is happy.
oh, hi George. Thank you for saying that. You're such a sweetheart. We're doing good. We can't wait to see you and Mama D going live sometime
Soon, hopefully.
soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Back to Judy. Back
But
to Judy.
getting back to Judy.
Sorry, that was the flyby of George.
not a problem whatsoever. But I always felt like I was nothing. But what I realized, Gina and Mama D, was that in the nothingness, I could be anything that I wanted. So what I mean by that is when we drop our stories and our labels and our judgments, we could truly emerge as our true and authentic self. And when I look out in the world, I see so many people who were plagued by the same feelings that I had that I decided to write Perfect to show people that there is another way.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah. Yeah. That's great because there always is, but you went through a lot to get to that point. I mean, you truly did. So you just made that sound like, oh, I wrote this because no, you lived. This book is amazing. It's an amazing tale. I don't even want to call it a story because you were saying not to call it a story. You don't want to make stories, right? It's like a point, but it is. It's just the story of your life and what happened and how brutal is that to be living someone else's nightmares, and then you start going trying to like a lot of people that I would have either on my show as a guest or on my show as a teacher that would teach or have done, past life regression therapies thinking that maybe this is something in the past life. So you go down this road trying to figure out what's going on to no avail, so I mean, it's not like you weren't trying, Mama.
Sorry. Multitasking and my computer gave me sound. Shh. Okay.
There you
Okay, I'll leave now.
go.
You guys are so much fun.
Well, we tried.
But how frustrating was this to not have any answers?
Yeah, so if it's okay with you, I'd love to kind of give an overview of the story.
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
Yes.
As children, many of us have fears. I was actually afraid of drowning, but as I mentioned, I was terrified of the night and I was terrified of being assaulted. And, every night I was terrified of going to sleep. I would literally crawl into bed night after night and pull the covers over my head and recite the Lord's Prayer over and over again until exhausted I would eventually fall asleep. And this was my ritual as a child. I didn't know any other world. And these fears actually continued well into my 20s. So here I was going to work as a CPA, very traditional lifestyle. And then when I came home at night, I was terrified of what I couldn't explain. And I happened to meet my husband at work. He's a CPA also. And we got married and we had two incredible children. And in the exhaustion of raising my kids, commuting 3 hours a day to work and working 40 to 50 hours a week, in that exhaustion, everything stopped. The fear stopped, the energy stopped, the subtle whispers, it all stopped.
Wow.
But, there's a but my kids grew up.
Yeah.
My kids grew up and they went off to college and the house became silent. And in that silence, everything returned. Sometimes people ask me what it felt like. It felt like someone was always standing behind me.
Yep.
or if there was eyes staring at me from across the room. And my husband and I actually soon started to lose sleep because I would wake up in the middle of the night terrified.
Wow.
And around the same time, I actually started to bleed uncontrollably month after month. And my doctor said that I needed a hysterectomy. And I was actually terrified of the surgery. And it made no sense because after becoming a CPA, I was a finance director in the healthcare industry for over 25 years. So I trust modern medicine.
Yeah, well, when it's done to someone else, it's a different story.
but it felt
I had a nightmare hysterectomy. So.
Yeah, it's not a pleasant thing, but yeah. So I was terrified of the surgery. It felt a lot like the terror that I had as a child. It felt a lot like the terror that returned to me as an adult. So a very good friend of mine recommended that I read a book. I don't know if you've ever heard it. It's called Light Emerging by Barbara Brennan.
No.
And Barbara was actually a former NASA physicist, and she studied the human energy field. And what she learned, she was actually able to heal people with her hands. And I had never, ever heard of anything like that. So,
well, I have a bunch of books on that subject, but not hers. I don't have.
Well, you definitely have a bunch of books back there.
Yeah, I should add it to my collection.
Yeah,
but I, both Mom is a Reiki master, so she does that. I'm a pranic healer, so we know about the energy and the energy transference. Prana is like chi.
Mm-hmm. So this is right up your alley. So
yes, it is. And the book's amazing, people. Just saying it again, okay? Just saying it again. The book is amazing. The story is amazing. What she went through is amazing. So continue.
So before my surgery, I needed to calm down. So days before my surgery, I found myself Googling healers near me, and up popped a name. And it sounds a little strange, but this name, it felt like it was calling to me. And as I sat across from my healer for that very first time, I'm extremely auditory. And Gina B., I think you said you were very auditory as well.
Yes.
But I literally heard like the click of a lock, like my entire life was locking into place. And at the time, I didn't know the role that healer actually played in my family's history. Right. So she helped me heal from my hysterectomy. And we continued actually to work together for 9 months to explore that uncontrollable fear of the dark that I had. And I never mentioned to her this fear of sexual assault. So we started to look at my childhood experiences. Was there anything from my childhood that would elicit this fear? But nothing came to light. And then she introduced me to new things that I'd never heard of. She introduced me to past lives. She introduced me to the amazing work of Dr. Michael Newton, Dolores Cannon, and Dr. Brian Weiss. And Dr. Weiss actually had a patient named Catherine who had these unexplainable fears and phobias. And, quite by accident, during one of the hypnosis, he was actually able to take her to past previous lifetimes, and they were able to uncover where her fears came from. And just in the understanding of where the fears came from and where they originated, she was actually able to be healed. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, we have a few people that come on that do that take you back. But you have to have a past life in order to have that situation. But that's not you. So that works for them. So everyone's situation is different. Everyone's unique.
Exactly.
Some people have, hundreds of past lives, and some people might have one or two, and some people have none. They're a new soul.
Well, Gina, you're absolutely correct, because the first time I went through a past life regression, I heard that Dr. Brian Weiss was actually going to be in the neighborhood. So I went to his seminar, and there were literally thousands of people there. And I was actually amazed. I didn't realize that past lives was so mainstream.
Yep.
But during that first past life regression, as everybody was led back to a different door, different time in history, I fell asleep. And as he was bringing everybody out of the hypnosis, I heard my neighbor snoring, but it turned out to actually be me snoring. So I literally slept through that past life regression. And as you correctly said, that's not my story. So we also looked at my parents. Was there anything that I inherited from my parents? Because we know from our DNA, we can inherit so many things, right? We can inherit the color of our hair, the color of our skin, the shape of our nose. But we also started to talk about the science of epigenetics. And the science of epigenetics tells us that we could actually inherit the pain and the trauma from our parents and our ancestors. And they've shown with Holocaust survivors, the survivors of the Holocaust, the pain and the trauma that they experienced in their bodies could actually be passed down to their children and their grandchildren.
Yeah.
And what's really amazing, there was a recent study with mice. They would actually introduce the smell of cherry blossoms to mice and then zap the mice on the feet. And Gina B and Mama D, as you could expect, after a while, just the smell of cherry blossoms would elicit that fear and that panic in the mice.
Right.
But what I found really amazing was that the mice's children and their children, just the scent of cherry blossoms would trigger the same fear in them,
Yep.
even though they had never been zapped and they were actually never exposed to the father that was zapped.
Right. They also did a study, and they had it on television, about the monkeys. Like they had these monkeys on this island or something, and there was a big tower in the center where the food was. So there was a bunch of monkeys that were the same. They were always there. They would go up there at a certain time of day. They would get their food. They had tools. They would use a jug to get water, all this stuff, okay? They had to learn how to open some kind of fruit or something. I can't remember what it was, but it was something out of the norm. But the next generation of the monkeys just knew how to do this as well. So that study went there too. So it's not just mice, it's monkeys and us.
And it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we discovered.
Whoop, whoop.
You got a lot of fans out there.
Yeah. I love my people. We love our people.
They have no choice.
Yes. We rope them, we tie them, we gag them, and we promise them things. Actually,
they're very obedient.
There is something you guys can get for being here. Okay, I'm going to show you something. All right, this is a free ebook, Awaken the Creator Within. If you go to her website, which is, and I get to my banners here. Okay, www.judimiller.net. And it's JUDIMILLER.net. You can get that free book there if you order her book as well. Okay, and let me get that up here.
And the link is now in the chat room.
If you get her book Perfect, you get 5 free gifts with the purchase of that. You can go to Amazon, you can get it there, go back to her site, and you can get 5 free gifts. How amazing is that, right? So
I like free things, obviously.
Yeah, free things are good. Free things are good. Free things are great. Yes, especially in today, COVID got us all kind of strapped and stuff. So if it's free, it's for me. But as we were saying, and getting back to these things that are inherited. Now that's the difference between
that's from the father's side.
Yeah, the dad's side.
And what I learned was that actually the trauma that I felt every night and that fear of being assaulted wasn't my own, and it wasn't my dad's. It was actually something I inherited from my mother. It was a cellular memory from my mother. They say every female baby is born with 2 to 3 million of their reproductive eggs at birth. So during most of your mother's young life, you were actually in there as an unborn egg, experiencing her traumas as well as her triumphs. And beautiful picture, yes. So in that drawing,
there's grandma, there's your mom inside the belly of the grandma, and the eggs inside the baby. So that's what she's actually explaining right now. So so whatever all these people are experiencing gets instilled in those eggs. So
yes,
that's her story. That's the amazing thing of her story.
So Gina B, that's a great picture, because it's not just the mother that you were around for. You were actually around for your grandmother's triumphs as well as traumas. So what we uncovered was, I never knew this. My mother was actually assaulted as a child. And what we uncovered during one of our sessions was that pain and that terror that I felt was a cellular memory. And there is a shocking connection to that very healer that I trusted to heal me in this lifetime. And in that moment of revelation, I could have felt fear, I could have felt anger, I could have felt betrayal, but I didn't. All I felt was the love and the perfection of the universe. I actually saw how all of our souls are actually interconnected across lifetimes, and how we could heal in any moment in this lifetime or in any other. So that's where the name Perfect came from.
Yeah, perfect. And and you also, you studied the Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono. Oh no. But that's, like getting back to zero. But I saw that in the book too, and I was like, oh, we just had Mabel Katz on that.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So that was really pretty cool. But yeah, it's a fascinating thing how everything can come full circle, and like the karmic, if you think of karma and dharma and going through time and to rectify something, and these same people will still keep meeting in the same circles until it's rectified,
Mhm.
and then it can start anew.
Yeah. So that's actually why it's called perfect, because on a soul level, we really can never get it wrong. We're always given an opportunity to make it right.
Yeah, it's just got to be open enough to it. Like you didn't see it for a long time, but you chose to find out what, get to the root of your problem because it was that, and a lot of people, instead of doing what you did, and I'm so glad you wrote this book because hopefully this will help people that are stuck in that fear and in that fear zone, and not do anything about it, or maybe they did try to do a past life thing, or maybe they did try hypnotherapy, or maybe they did just try therapy, and that's not the right, you know what I mean? You got to find what it is that you need to move
Mhm.
forward with this.
Absolutely. And part of it is sometimes we don't realize it's not ours. Sometimes we don't understand why we have these fears, these phobias, these stories, these judgments, not realizing that it could actually be from our ancestors.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the other thing too about the epigenetics, part of it, instead of a past life, your ancestors, it's a DNA thing instilled in you.
Yeah.
So it's a past and inherited thing. So it's not just reliving a past life. It's completely, you know, this end of the field and this end of the field. They're two different subjects altogether. And people don't understand that. So,
Mhm.
if you think of it, and I like the egg scenario because, as you see the grandmother, the mother, the baby's inside the baby, you know what I mean? And all these things that are and it's passed on because the grandmother was the same way and everyone else that was in the womb, you know what I mean? So it's generational
Mhm.
and all
It
those
kind
things.
of makes sense because it's like cell memory. Because
Yes.
my cells were in my mother's and
Yeah.
her mother's and my children and so on and so forth. So it's not just, but it's cell memory. What happens in one life vibrates the cells,
Yeah.
and that cell gets passed on to the next generations and so on
But
and so forth.
my thing is, I wonder with you is because your mom being assaulted and at a young age and not being able to talk about it, with internalizing this so much because you can't talk about it, you can't get rid of it, you can't, you know what I mean? You're not allowed. So it's, you know, imagine what she went through to have that much energy in her body, that was going directly to say your egg,
Mhm.
until you came out, and then you get all this because she was so bottled up. Like if she was able to talk about it, if she was able to get rid of it or release it or rectify the situation, but she wasn't, maybe it wouldn't have happened, but you don't know.
Mhm. So a lot of my story, as you know, is about letting go of the stories that no longer serve us, because when we have those feelings, so for example, I grew up also not being able to use my voice. So when we grow up with these feelings that we can't explain, oftentimes we create stories that don't serve us. I'm not good enough, I'm different, I'm incomplete, not realizing where they come from. And it's interesting, certain indigenous cultures in North America believe that when you heal, you actually heal 7 generations back and 7 generations forward.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, because you're completing a cycle that's not going to get carried on, and now you're making a new one and hopefully a positive one, and that's what the world needs now. I think that with the constant influx of information now that we have, and venues like this to get words like this out, that people can actually do this, get this information, make this work for them, rectify all these wrongs. We need this new generation going forward to be clear of mind and body and soul, if that makes sense to you. You know what I mean? We need to be a more enlightened as a whole to move forward in this world. And I really think that's the only way we're going to survive.
And you talked earlier about so many different beautiful modalities like Reiki and pranic healing, etc. But as you know, because you read the book, one of the things in my book that I mentioned is that you actually can heal without actually even knowing where it came from. Because our bodies are like a giant infinitely intelligent blueprint. And sometimes our traumas or our parents' traumas literally get lodged in certain parts of our body. And it's interesting, as you probably know, that when it gets lodged in certain areas, it's often attributable to a certain trauma or story or judgment that you're actually holding. So it's actually very specific. Bless you.
Bless you.
I didn't get to hear the sneeze.
No, she muted. She knew it was coming. We got to catch her. But yeah, go. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Oh, she kills me. She kills me.
One's going to sneak up on her, and she's not going to be able to mute in time, and we're going to hear it.
I know. I hope so. Oh, look at what she did. I think it only works with females because males constantly have new sperm cells. They aren't born with something like the eggs females are born with. Well, it's a different scenario. That's what we were talking about earlier, that we can talk about the women part. You can talk about the women because this is what happened to you, and not so much the male aspect. But it is there. However that works, it is there.
Yeah, because it's interesting because those mice, the mice that were zapped were male. And these offspring were inheriting from their father. So I'm not sure exactly how it works because, like you said, that wasn't my experience. But some of the recent studies have shown that we also do inherit that trauma from our fathers as well.
Yeah. And the monkeys. I mean, the monkeys were male and females. It was just a group, and the group learned. So they brought in a different group, and that different group didn't know how to use these tools. That these just because the ancestors of these monkeys knew, the new ones instinctively knew, and how to get water and how to fill the jugs and how to do stuff. It was a really interesting story. It was a really interesting thing, and not a lot of people saw it apparently.
No, it does sound pretty amazing.
But it was really neat, and I liked it. I enjoyed it. Weird yet fascinating, she says. Yeah,
she's talking about me again.
Yeah. Yeah, she mutes herself in time to block those sneezes. But look she's making my nose run. Just
sorry,
those
internet cold. I'm passing it on.
Oh my god.
Okay, I'll go back to slide again.
So what part? No, reeling back in. All right, what part of this story? I mean, like, how does forgiveness play into all of this?
So, like you said, the subtitle to the book is A Path to Love, Forgiveness, and Transformation. And, when I ask people, there are so many different definitions of forgiveness, but for me, it's really, really simple. For me, forgiveness means to forego or to let go of. So painful and unwanted events are going to happen to all of us. We could either experience it once, or we could literally play it over and over again until it becomes stuck and it becomes our identity. And then we're too afraid to let it go. So for me, forgiveness is really just letting go of those painful, contracted stories so we can move forward and experience freedom. It's not about condoning the actions of another person. It's about letting go of the stories so we can move forward. And I really do believe it's a gift that we give ourselves. It's an act of self-love.
It is. Forgiveness is a really hard thing to do, let alone forgive yourself. But forgiving other people. And you have a great prayer in there too. Like I have all these papers here. I did print out. You have the forgiveness prayer. John used for you all the time. And it's just amazing. And there's so many things. There's so many things in this book that I absolutely love, that I printed out, like I said, the stack over here of things that make such sense to me, that just give me that aha as I'm reading, like, oh yes, okay, I can see this, I can see how that's working. And I try to project forward. Although I was wrong a couple times. I was wrong a couple times because I thought, something was going to happen that didn't. But
well, it kept you reading, so I'm glad.
It did. Oh my God, it does. Guys, see the book in the corner down there next to her? Is it perfect? Get it. Just get it.
Do you know, I read somewhere that most people actually don't read past the first 19 pages of a book. So perfect, as you know, is 80 to 90% of it's actually written like a story. So you want to know how it ends.
Yeah. Well, you have to get past that on your book because, your prologue is on page 20. I was like, all right, when does this begin now? The epilogue, the prologue, the forwards, the dedication.
There's a lot of stuff.
I know how it ends.
Yeah. Well, you have to get past that. Mama, what's the matter, you?
She's
I'm going in
playing.
my corner.
She wants
Where's
to play.
going in my corner. And my Bluetooth died, so I'm shutting up now.
Look, she never does this. You can tell her mind is foggy because she's my techie. She never does this kind of stuff, but it's
How
hilarious.
could you be upset with that face?
I
Oh my
never.
goodness.
Honest to God, even when she's upset with me.
Okay. Judy's going to go off after the end of the show. She's going to go, that woman was a crazy one. Yes, I am. And I'm proud of it.
That's why I have her. I love her to death. I really do. But we were talking about forgiveness, and forgiveness it's an extremely hard thing. Like some of the hardest words in the language to say is "I'm sorry." And so to forgive and to ask for forgiveness, like two different things. They're different. They're difficult, and
Well, Nelson Mandela said that resentment is like drinking poison and wishing the other person dies. So it's similar with forgiveness. By hanging on to that unforgiveness, you feel that you're trying to punish the other person, but the only person that you're punishing is yourself.
Exactly. And a lot of people, they love to be in that. They just love to wallow in this stuff, and I don't understand why. And they love to drag other people in it, and it's just like, and you can see it on the body is, tense, and shoulders and the ears, and it's like, just let it go.
Well, I recently read that we have over 60,000 thoughts a day. 95% of them are the same ones we had yesterday and the day before,
Yeah.
and 80% of them are quite negative. And I believe one of the reasons they're quite negative is because thousands of years ago, when we were cavemen and cavewomen, it was important for us to be able to notice and remember the negative aspects of a situation because it was critical for our survival. But we no longer live in that reality, so we need to retrain our minds.
Well, we do in a way, we still have the fight or flight just for survival. We still got to survive,
Mhm.
so I'm always reverting back to the caveman days and say, we each have our role to play, and that's why we're all so
Mhm.
different. We need to be different, and that's a good thing. And our talents are evolving. So we're not going just from hunters and gatherers. We're going to production, packaging, you know what I mean? So our hunters are, big factories, right?
Mhm.
So, yes, it progresses, but we still have the same basic needs. We need food, shelter, love,
Mhm.
all those things, closeness, family, the need to carry on, the breed, all
Mhm.
those, they're still there.
Yeah.
Oh, there's my baby. Hey, there's my baby right here. Hi, honey.
There's a heart for her and a heart for me. And he knows if he's
Yeah.
only going to put
I
one
know.
down, I'm going to steal it.
You didn't give one to Judy. Judy's a
I
sweetheart.
know, I feel like I need a heart.
Yeah,
Come on, Bob.
he needs
Pop
one.
another one in there.
Pop another one in there. We'll wait.
You know,
Do 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 do. Oh my god. Yes, we are not usually this crazy. It's just because Mom
It's
is.
the cold. It's my fault. I'm sorry.
Oh my
well,
god.
we were talking about negative thoughts and stories,
There you
right?
go.
There it
Oh,
is.
I got one. Thank you.
Yay. And then Mama D she sends back. Yay. All right. So you're accepted. Okay. That's good.
I'm
So
still waiting for my nickname, you know that.
I know we gotta come up with a nickname. Jojo. Come up with a nickname for Judy. JM. She's got the same initials as you. We call her Jojo because she's Joanna, Jojo. But I was like, I just she's just so cute. I just don't, it's gonna be a cute nickname, and it's gonna be something.
Well, that's it. Her first name fits her because it's Judy. It's not Judy. It's
Yeah.
originally Judi, and it's cute and adorable. So, the adorable Judy.
Well, actually, I am Gina B in the place to be, Pete Fox, the paranormal princess, Gina Bankston. So I have a whole bunch of them. That was my original thing. Judy. Oh, Judy is a cutie patootie. Yeah, well.
Yeah, but we can't put that in the name on Facebook.
Yeah, she is a cutie. That's what she is.
Oh, now I see where this is coming from. Okay, I wasn't clicked on it. Now I see them all popping up.
Oh, you see them?
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's true. When a guest comes in, you're automatically in the private chat.
It's Judi. So
She corrected it.
Same.
She did.
There you
Hold
go.
on. She got the
Okay.
correction.
All right, good girl. Okay. All right.
Okay, shiny ball.
Yep, shiny balls gone. Okay, where were we? Let's see. All right, so now we were talking about forgiveness, and also in the title here, so we have love, forgiveness. Um, well, I mean, a path to love. Is that now? Would this path to love be self love or the love that you can be able to share with others?
I think the essence of who we are is love. So it's just remembering that love. And, I feel that today so many people feel isolated and alone, except when they're on your show because they're having so much fun. But a lot of people feel isolated and alone, but I don't think it's because of COVID. I believe we feel isolated and alone because we've become disconnected from ourselves. We've become disconnected from the Creator. And part of this being sent home at this period in time is so we could reconnect with who we are.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think those who are feeling the isolation and aloneness now is because they fill their life with so much stuff, trying to fill that void.
Mm-hmm.
Filled it with work, filled it going out with friends and dinner and parties and whatnot. And it's not, you're filling it with so much, as I say, stuff that you don't realize what you're actually feeling, because they're always keeping themselves busy instead of finding that 1 or 2 hours alone. So like I can do alone. I'm like, okay, so long as I have Gene, I can do alone.
I know.
Mama D,
We're never alone. We're never quite alone, even when we're by ourselves. I don't know what it is.
So, Mama D, I think you're absolutely right. I think most people try to find themselves out there rather than in here, and so many of us really desert ourselves emotionally, physically, and spiritually.
Yes.
Very true.
And a lot of people, we say it a lot, go to guided meditations. If you can't do it yourself. And I used to fall asleep at these meditations before all the time. It took me so long to actually literally shut my brain off because it doesn't stop. So I couldn't just listen to music or hone myself into a meditation. I needed the words. I needed to follow the direction. So guided meditations are wonderful. Now you have used you referenced a meditation that you like a lot. So who's your favorite person? Why? What meditation?
So it has evolved. In the book, it was Sonia Choquette. I love Sonia's meditations. I feel like I'm traveling with her when I listen to them. But I actually do transcendental meditation now, which is not guided meditation.
Nope. You've evolved. I have so many things going on in my brain. My filing cabinet doors are always open. There's always something going on. So it's like, you got to shut those to get myself centered, but I still need the words.
Yeah, my mentor, Dr. Sue Morter, likes to describe it, and I love this analogy. It's like a fan that's spinning really fast. And the fan is like our mind, and our bodies and our hearts and love actually vibrate at a slower frequency. And we would never think of sticking our hand up through the fan and chopping it off, right?
Nope.
So we need to slow our minds so we can listen to our bodies, so we can listen to our hearts.
Yeah. I love your voice. I don't know.
She has the voice for radio.
Yes, you definitely do. You should be doing a podcast.
That was what I was told when I first came on the scene. Like, oh my God, you have the voice for radio. Not normally before. And I was always like, what? The face isn't good enough for TV, But it's calming, it's soothing, and now I get it. Okay, guys, everybody said it's me. Now I get it.
Well, I was listening to Gina B with the introduction, and I mentioned to her earlier today, oh my goodness, you have such a radio voice.
Well, when I slow down and when I do those, and it takes me a few takes to get it, but when I get excited, like I said, the mass comes out in me, and all my R's go off into the distance, and I have my car keys and my khakis.
Yeah, there it comes.
Yep.
Say Martha.
Martha.
Yeah, there we go.
Martha's in the backyard with the barbecue.
I'm Canadian, so I don't have that problem.
No, she does not.
Oh, you have to say like house and A and all those fun things.
She
Yeah, but
doesn't.
that's the thing. That it's like in the States, there's so many different places, and they all have their different slang and their accents. I'm from Quebec. I'm an English French Canadian, so I don't have that A. What
Oh,
we do, what
wow.
the French do is P. So it's kind of like the same thing. Like when they get lost in the word, it's P, which is kind of sort of like A.
Thank
And
God. That's
usually when you hear me speaking French, it's a lot of swear words hidden under a
I
smile.
know. If she starts speaking French, I'm just like, someone got her upset, and every once in a while we'll have someone that speaks French and say, "Hey, I know what you're saying."
Well, I like the way she said Quebec.
Yeah,
Quebec. It's like I say, I'm an English French Canadian. My mother was French Canadian. My grandfather was very proud of his heritage, like the rest of the Quebec province. My father was English, so we learned. My brother and I learned to speak French early at a young age because my parents used to speak French when they were talking about where they would hide their gifts or what they were buying for us. So we learned it really quick. Certain words were like really triggers, and I could find them and open up any package. Both my parents are passed, so I can say this now. I can open up any package and take them back like they've never been opened before. So
she's just a woman. She's a worldly woman. She's got many talents.
yes, not to
That is
mention my mother's going to smack me upside the back of the head.
I did not know this talent, so this one to add to the book. Jojo says, I found losing everything helped me truly feel freedom. I'm an introvert in real life, and I found that forgiving my main perpetrator helped me take a huge weight off my shoulders. Yes. Yeah.
And she likes your voice too.
And that's beautiful to hear. But sometimes we don't know where that pain and that trauma comes from. So who do we forgive? And before I was saying our bodies are like a giant, infinitely intelligent blueprint, and our traumas get lodged in our bodies, issues in our tissues, right?
Yeah.
So part of the forgiveness prayer, the forgiveness recipe we were talking about, is when something happens or you feel a contraction, don't ask why, ask where. Where in your body do you actually feel that contraction? Right? So when somebody says something hurtful or does something hurtful, where in your body do you actually experience it? And if you breathe gently into it, and if this is something from a past life or an ancestor, if you breathe gently into it, often an image or memory might come to you. And it might not make any sense.
Some of the comments, if you're not seeing...
No, because he's not seeing JoJo's because she's in YouTube.
She's on YouTube. She's in Facebook jail. So she's on our YouTube channel.
Facebook jail?
Yes. Yeah, Facebook puts you in jail and they take you off for a while if you put up some kind of something that they don't like. So she watches on YouTube because she can't go on Facebook yet. It could be something really minor, but Facebook has, they're touchy sometimes.
A friend of mine got put in Facebook jail because she put a video of a very beautiful woman who had a double mastectomy and had put tattoos, and not tattoos of her breast, but just tattoos. And she went topless and she did dance, and it was stunning. And my friend put it up, and I shared it, and I put it up on my page. She got put in Facebook jail, and I got a warning. I went, really? I'm playing it again. I'm a man, and tell me I can't do something and I do it.
Well, don't do that because then you get in Facebook jail. Jojo again. I'm an incest survivor, so forgiving, I would imagine you're supposed to be saying here. My father was huge. I'm hoping that it helps me heal myself. Yes.
And what's beautiful, it helps you heal all those that come after you as well.
Yeah.
Right. You posted a meme reported from 4 years ago. I don't remember.
Well, that's what happened. That's what happened with
a
friend of mine.
Yeah.
He posted something that reposted something from 4 years ago, and Facebook caught it now and said,
Yeah, that's crazy. Like a lot of people for political reasons and whatnot get thrown in the Facebook jail. But we're always doing the right things. So we're good girls.
That's why I have 2 Facebook accounts.
We don't have
this is a good one, and the other one is not so good. That's a lie. I'm always
I,
good.
I see your fox cup there.
Yes.
Yes.
One
She
of
the
the
fox, she the
million.
fox, and I'm the butterfly.
Right. Right.
Do you have a butterfly cup?
I do,
Does, but maybe not with her. But I have like a
but I cracked it, so I
one,
can't
and
use
I
it. So
have
it
my
sits on my
and
altar.
I have a whole. My house is full of foxes. I could probably go to the Guinness Book of World Records and have the most foxes in my house for sure.
Yeah, but they'd have to count them.
Yeah, they have to count them. I'm not counting them.
Yeah.
No, nope, nope. Big house, lots of foxes. But that's my spirit animal. That's my spirit guide, and my main one. But I have other animal spirit guides as well. But the fox is my main one. And
And mine's the Black Panther.
Oh yes, I got one of those.
yep. Yeah, I've had that in my past. A turkey. I was actually offended. On one of the guided meditations, a turkey came through, and I was like, and then I looked up what a turkey represented, and then I was highly honored. It's
What
like,
does a turkey represent?
oh my God, it's strength and wisdom and all kinds of wonderful things, like an eagle, and all the things I thought, I'm like, you jive turkey, right? That's all I could think of. And I'm like, that's not good. You think of it as like, uh, tripping or falling, and it's like the exact opposite. And it was really good things. I mean, I have mouse, I have bunny, I have lots of lots in the animal realm. But
Mhm.
what a fox does, a fox is the watcher of the barrier between our realm and the spirit realm. They're right on the outskirts, and they watch and
Security.
protect, both sides. So if you're allowed over, they'll let you through, and
Mm.
show you, and they can take you on their path to get to the right place, which is really neat, along with other things.
Wow, wow, yeah. And when I learned that mine was a Black Panther, I didn't know what it represented, but the Black Panther represents protection over the night. It's the mother's protection. So it just made so much sense based on my story.
Yes. Yeah, isn't it
Yeah.
funny how all these things just fall exactly into place, and you don't know it unless you look for it, and you don't, that's why the journey is so great, and to watch how you went from that CPA hiding to where you are today is a really amazing tale in that book. And I do hope it continues and, goes
Oh
further and
well.
we get more of that story.
My life is totally unrecognizable from that CPA life that I used to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's fun to go back and have people say,
I knew you
"Didn't
win.
you?" It
Yeah, I knew
totally
you
different.
win
You
this.
know, they don't see because they don't see the change. They don't understand the change. They understand it after you've explained it to them. Well, understand most of it after you've explained it to them. But they still see you in in your mind's eye. All the old CPAs that you were with still see you as that perfect CPAs that fit into that little box. Well, now you've sort of broken out of that box. You and
Mhm.
your parent have broken out of that box, and it's an amazing.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
what I learned is when we let go of all those stories, those labels, and our judgments, every single moment is like if it's for the first time.
Mm,
Just like
Yeah,
children when they experience things for the first time because they have no prior reference to judge it by. And everything is amazing and everything's a miracle.
yeah, that's that hope up. Say it.
Ho'oponopono.
Yep.
yeah.
And
That's zero
Mabel,
frequency. You're starting over. You got a fresh slate.
yeah.
I know what it is. It's because I can't say it. I don't doesn't mean I don't know what it is.
But Mabel probably touched upon this. But the Ho'oponopono prayer is really um, the interesting twist is
Yeah.
forgiving yourself for creating all of those stories and those judgments and those labels.
Yeah. Yeah. In order to get you to zero, zero frequency, zero, a clean slate, and start to build your own life and your own essence and your own
Mhm.
being.
A
And
lot of people are afraid to forgive themselves because they're afraid to start something new. They know where they are now, and they want to hold on because they want to hold on to so tight because they understand it. They understand either the fear or whatever it is they're avoiding or not avoiding. So they'll hold on to that and they won't see that part where that they can forgive themselves to allow themselves to go down another path.
Mhm.
You know, so that's that for me. That's a lot of things that you know. It took a lot for Mama D to be created, and compared to what I was, the person I am now. For you, CPA. For me, it was tomboy, and for me, the most important thing that boys were good for was to beat the garbage out of them. You know, I didn't. You know, I was not, and I was very hard. I was very sharp edge, but that person is not the same thing. But it took me a while to understand that I can let go of that and not be afraid to work into the next path.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And a lot of people are afraid to work in the spirit realm anyway,
Mm.
you know, and there's really no need for the fear because there's so much there. Energy is amazing.
And I think sometimes the fear is just because it's unfamiliar. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just unfamiliar. And once you take that step into that new reality,
Yeah. Then you can't
it's
unknow it.
exactly, it's no longer unfamiliar.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it is amazing. So this is, I'm just like trying to center myself on my page here, and we're almost at the commercial break time, but this kind of goes along with what we're talking about, right? How do you disrupt an existing story that keeps playing repeatedly, and give some examples because this is what we're talking about. So how would you break it? Like, so say someone's living in this, right? They're listening to us, they're understanding what we're saying, but how do we break these patterns? What are the steps?
Mhm. So I like to use an acronym called NEST. So as I mentioned before, we have 60,000 thoughts and they keep replaying over and over again. So we really need to disrupt that pattern, right? So N is to notice. N in the nest, N-E-S-T, like a bird's nest. N stands for notice. Notice our thoughts because so many of us are on autopilot. We keep having the same thoughts over and over again, and thoughts are not always true, right? So Gina B and Mama D, I'm just going to give you an example. So before I got on the show, right, I could have felt a dryness in my throat. My heart could have been fluttering, and my stomach could have been fluttering as well, right? And I could have labeled those sensations as nervousness, but I could have just as easily labeled those sensations as excitement because those are the same exact sensations I feel. It's my choice in terms of how I label it and how I experience it. It's exactly the same sensations. So I invite people, notice those thoughts and flick them off before they become ingrained, before you start to identify with them, before you start to be afraid to let go, right? So that's the N in NEST. E stands for truly experience events in our bodies. So I feel that events in life are meant to be experienced in our bodies because we just talked about our mind doesn't always tell the truth, right?
Right.
So Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor wrote a book called My Stroke of Insight. And she was actually a Harvard neuroscientist who was able to heal herself from traumatic brain injury. And what I remembered from her book was the 90-second rule. When an event happens, either good or bad, it literally takes us 90 seconds to process that event through our physiology and then let it go. After those 90 seconds, it's up to us. Do we create a story that's disempowering or empowering? Do we come from a place of love or place of hate, right?
Or fear.
Or fear, right? So truly just experience those emotions in your body without labeling them.
Mm-hmm.
S stands for scratch the record. Again, we play those same stories over and over again. So I have just 3 different ways of doing that. So it could be saying things like cancel, 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 clear. My stop word is squash. So whenever I want to stop a negative thought, I say squash, and I can literally see myself stepping on the thought and squashing it. So it's kind of comical, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's cute.
The other one is a lot of people put rubber bands on their wrists and they
Oh yeah.
stop themselves, right?
Snap.
Right. And I think the reason that works is because it gets you out of your head and
Yeah.
back into your body.
Yeah.
And then the last one I learned from Tony Robbins probably 20, 30 years ago, and I call it zany crazy thing, right? And I'm going to give you the example. So I actually did the firewalk experience with Tony twice.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was
Oh my
amazing.
gosh. Oh my God. I don't know if I'd do that.
But there was a woman talking to Tony, and she was complaining about her husband. So Tony very lovingly picked up a glass of water and splashed the woman in the face. Okay, so exactly, Gina B. Your reaction is like, what? But this woman knows that Tony's a very loving soul and that, he's always in service to others. So she wipes off her face, she starts laughing, and then she starts talking to Tony again. And probably about 2 or 3 minutes into it, she starts complaining about her husband again. So can you guess what Tony did? He picked up a glass of water, threw it in the woman's face, right? So what it did was it helped the woman realize that the negative story that she kept replaying because she was on autopilot, and also it helped her disrupt that story. So when my husband and I get into an argument, we've agreed in advance that whoever remembers first, no water, and I don't recommend the water because I'd still be angry at him. Whoever remembers first will reach over and grab the other person by the nose. Oh. Okay. So if you've ever gotten into an argument with someone, just imagine yourself reaching over, grabbing them by the nose. What is your reaction going to be?
You're going to pull, what the?
Gina going to build me another castle.
Well, hopefully they don't hit you, but it disrupts the story. You start laughing. You think it's crazy, but it disrupts that story, it disrupts that pattern. And other ways that I've seen it work is, when you're arguing with someone and that you really should get out of the cycle, or that there's certain habits that you have when you talk or engage with other people. You can quack like a duck. You can talk with a British accent. The zanier, the crazier, the better, because it's disrupting your story. So I invite you, Gina B and Mama D, there's probably stories that you repeat over and over, but don't wait until the story happens again. Think about it now. What's the zany, crazy thing that you're going to do when that happens?
Well, I'm going to bring out my old South self.
You're going to bring out your what?
My South self.
Your self?
Okay.
My southern self.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be Gina B. Well, throw water in it. You going to throw water in my face?
I'm not recommending that. I'm just giving you an example.
Now,
throw water in my
Bob.
face. Nor should you grab my nose. No. But, you could bark like a dog or quack like a duck, and I would definitely laugh.
So what was the word for the T word?
So T stands for tender, loving, and care. And Mama D, it gets back to exactly what you were saying before. So many of us have abandoned ourselves emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So T is really just finding time to connect with ourselves, because we will create situations in our life outside of ourselves, all the chaos, so we can find ourselves. So why don't we just tap into ourselves internally so we can discover who we are? So N is for notice, E is for experience situations in our bodies, not in our minds. S is for scratch the record, and T is for tender love and care.
That's pretty amazing stuff right there. You are very, you've come a long way in a very short time, I must say. So I'm honored to have you on the show right now. I truly am.
Well, I'm glad to be here because you two are so much fun.
If you ever need to pick me up, just message us and say, I need a Mama D and Gina B fix. Okay, fine. Ask Gina what I do for her when she's in one of her movies.
Oh my God, I swear like a trooper. My mass hole comes out and
and I have a swear jar.
Oh yeah, I'm building her a castle.
When she cusses, she's already built me a castle. I'm waiting for the second castle to come. But no, she was having a rough day this week. And she was like, so I said, okay, fine. So I went on Snapchat and I made the ugly grandma thing, where there's curls in your hair and you got the big old fat face. And then something else I did at the same time. And I posted them both on Facebook and I tagged her in it. So you cannot help but look, because you get a tag and then you look at it. And she messages me, you're an ass, but I love you anyway. So it's like, okay, good, she's fine.
Yes, it's so true. But we are at our midpoint. So before we come back, and we'll pick up on again on the book and on your journey, and I promise we will. We do reel it in. I'm going to play a couple little commercials for our little break, and we'll be back with you in about 4 or 5 minutes.
Potty break.
The Fox Den is now proudly sponsored by Vortex Ghost Gear, one of the leading fabricators of paranormal equipment. Bob Christopher is the founder and creator of Vortex Ghost Gear. He has decades of investigating, starting with his team at NAPA, and as lead in the popular local TV show Ghost Detectives, he has experience of how spirits could be seen or heard. Using this knowledge, he has manufactured equipment for specific scenarios of spirit manifestation and communication. He is the only manufacturer of the popular lifelike trigger prop cats and dogs. Using proximity meters wired to lights and sound, these prove to be highly effective communication devices in the field of study. The HTO, another Vortex exclusive, allowing specific items to be the highlight or trigger of your investigation. For example, place the item on a metal tray or attach directly to any metal object such as keys or glasses that continue to go missing or moved. Ask the spirit to touch the item. The HTO will light. It has a sound option as well. This device was used in Travel Channel's Ghost Nation with great results. The Dome, a static detector, can be the most useful device in your gear bag. This is to back up the theory that the spirits manifest using static electricity. Using several, you can track a spirit, for example, walking down a hallway, setting off each as it passes. The geophone detects vibrations. This is another way to track movement. If a claim is footsteps in the hallway or stairwell, set the sensitivity and place the device in that area. Its band of lights will show a range of vibrations from the slightest tapping, lighting only a few lights, to the loudest thumping, lighting the entire range. The Easy Scan ghost boxes are very popular due to the ease of use. They are custom decorated to the individual or team using them. Bob programs and uses an Arduino-based computer scanning FM waves to potentially communicate with the spirit realm in real time. Every box is unique and all custom hand decorated by Gina Bankston. The V-Pod has a special place for those who love the idea of REM pods. Use this sleeker, smaller, easier to transport device. It is a must-have in your gear bag. Take your investigating to the next level with many of Vortex Ghost Gear's unique and custom creations by Bob Christopher. Visit www.vortexghostgear.com to view all the products and get your equipment today. You can also investigate with Bob and Gina with ghostly excursions, taking people to some of the most haunted locations in the USA. Visit www.ghostlyexcursions.com and join us on our next adventure. And hello, and this is my PFox advertising ad. So if you like the ads that I make and the promo video ads that I put for people, then watch this. Hello everyone, I am Gina Bankston, proud host of The Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, airing every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm also going to be doing a few occasional special reports, interview shows with Tiffany Beth. We have some amazing guests lined up. Subscribe on YouTube and watch those ads, as you're not going to want to miss any of our shows, including our pop-up reading shows. Why am I making this video? Well, quite simply because I make all my own show ads and bio videos for my guests. And many of you have asked, can I do this for you too? Well, the answer is yes, and I'm calling this PFox advertising. I can make you a banner, a picture ad, or a video ad for your products, services, events. Treat your guests special with a bio video ad if you're like me doing your own podcast, or if you're going to be a guest on a podcast and want your own special opening video. You can run your ad on the Fox Den. I can create an ad or run your pre-made ad. You can also be a sponsor of the Fox Den. Packages vary. If you choose to run your ad on the Fox Den, for the shows you book, the ads will be seen and heard live on YouTube and Facebook, as well as our many growing Anchor FM venues. Prices vary for content, duration, type, for various lengths of time. So what are you waiting for? Contact me, Gina B, at gbfoxinvestigates@gmail.com. Talk soon. And we're back. And Judi,
I think our guest is. Oh, there she is. Yeah. I thought for a second her internet went down.
Yeah, she did say that. So if her internet goes down, we apologize for that. But I hope you enjoyed those ads. And yeah, no, there was a private message in there.
That was me. Just ignore the old lady. By the way, while you're all on break, I had a sneeze fest.
You did. I was watching you. It was cute.
So we missed it again, right?
Yep. It's like I do my best to make sure that I don't disrupt the show with sneezes, with bodily functions. It's like, because too many people laugh. And not that bothers me, but
Yeah,
if I want you to laugh, I'll make you laugh. But
I just think she's adorable.
mm,
Is. And I still can't come up with a cute. It's got to be a cute and quirky name. I'm gonna really ponder on this, and I'm gonna mess.
at some point, you'll get a message next week going,
Yeah.
"This is your new name."
2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. She'll be like, "Who is this?"
What the hell is it? Oh,
It's going to be in the middle of the
Gina.
night.
Exactly.
That's what will come to me. I'll be like, "Oh, that's great. I'll make an ad for you." We'll announce you. We'll have a big coming out party. We came up with a nickname. So now, I just want to kind of get back on track here, and I'm just going to start with this. If you guys are just joining us now, you're going to have to go back and watch the beginning
Yeah.
part of this show so you can get caught up to speed and know what we're talking about. But how do you not create a story, and what does take it to the body mean?
So it's similar to what we were talking about before. So when something happens, really truly take that 90 seconds and experience it in your body,
Yes.
and then let it go. So I believe our greatest superpower is the power to choose. So Dr. Stephen Covey wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People in the 1980s. And he said, between stimulus and response, there's a gap. And in that gap, we get to choose. So we don't have
Yeah.
to be on autopilot. We can choose our reaction, right? And I recommend that take it to the body and then let it go.
Right. And
So
I think it's a great place to start the second hour at.
So, we were saying early on that painful and unwanted events are going to happen. And I believe our free will is how we decide to experience that event, right? So the
Yeah.
event is going to happen. Our free will is if we're going to experience it over and over or just try to let it go.
See, I give myself 15 minutes of let go. If I get angry or I get frustrated or I get a negative emotion, like I used to work with the public, and I love my customers. I would hug each and every one if I could, but you have the moments where there's some who are not so nice, and I used to have to card people for because I sold cigarettes, beer, wine, etc. And when I had one person who went right off the deep end, getting mad, yelling, screaming, calling me all kinds of lovely names, and I just stood there and I just kept my straight face, and I said, okay, yeah, sure. And then his father drug him out of the store, and I had somebody come replace me. And for 15 minutes, I threw trash in a trash bin, and it was a full body toss because the trash bins are like way up here and I'm way down here. So it was, and I give myself those 15 minutes of just letting either cry or scream or use Gina's foul language that she's been teaching me. Whatever the case may be, I had 15 minutes. After that 15 minutes, it's time to, pull up my big girl panties and, get on with it.
See, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So you had the energy move. You didn't have the energy stuck in your body.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
And Anjali Zarian is a cultural anthropologist, and she talks about these indigenous cultures, right? So what they do is when an event happens, it's important to share it with loving and supportive people, right?
Yeah.
But no more than 3 times. So in these cultures, what they do is if you repeat your story more than 3 times, they will take you and hang you over a cliff until you're willing to let go of the story and see the wisdom in the experience. So if you don't want to let go of your story, just imagine dangling over that cliff. What's that cliff dangling story that you're going to let go of?
You know what? I'm going to be writing a book one of these days. And I actually did this thing. This is a cute little thing, okay? And it's like there's a bunch of circles and there's a bunch of lines off the circle. So whatever the issue is, you put that in the center. And all on the outside edges is potential resolutions for those things. Now, Bob, because I've been going through some stuff here, and I posted about it and everything. I've got issues with my house, and issues with my insurance company, and issues with money, and trying to get it fixed and such, and it really depressed me because the house is my baby. you know. So I got very depressed, and then Bob's like, you know, if you write the circle thing, and I'm just like, "Ugh," but it was right,
I
but
hate it when he's right, but okay.
yeah, and he's been very good with this situation. He really was very calming, very good. He fixed another situation that happened. I was like, God, why? My radiator leaked. I'm like, come on, enough's enough. And I just kind of lost it, and I was getting very emotional. I was really, and I don't really get emotional like that because I'll do stuff like that. I will write down my things, but this seemed to get to me and stay with me,
Yeah,
and I was really dwelling until I actually wrote it down. So once you get it out of your head and you're looking at it, it's not so overbearing. It's not so overwhelming. It's not, it's like, okay, one thing at a time. You can do this, but you can't do this now. But that's okay. It's there. It's not going anywhere. It's still there. You will deal with it. And, so I'm not like brushing things and saying, oh, I'm going to let go and let God or something like that. No, I'm going to get to it, but just I can't do that right now. I have to wait for
Mhm.
this, and I can do this, so I'll do that. And that is what my book is going to be about: is situations like that, and oh, every situation, doesn't matter what kind of aspect, whether it's love life or work or children
family.
or whatever. It can work for anything. And it's like I
But
could see
Bob, forgetting to put the toilet seat down. I'm going back there, Bob.
Mhm.
I mean, I can see a lot of that coming into play in your book as well. Doing stuff like that, not dwelling.
Yeah.
It's a good way to release it too, and not keep that. So
Mhm.
instead of dangling off a cliff,
Or getting water thrown in your face.
yeah, yeah, or getting noses grabbed, which no, um, circles, right? Do the circle thing. But one of these days, I'll put that book out. I promise. I promise. I wrote 2 pages the other day. I was like, yay! But
Ooh,
I had to
I'm
read.
proud of you.
I had to read perfect.
And I'm glad that you did.
Yeah, I am too. I truly am, and I'm so glad we got to talk. We did talk earlier today, and I think I kept you for like an hour or so. So I get to know you a little bit better, and I adore you. I truly do, and I really love your process. I love what you've gone through, the things that you did, what you did live through. It's an amazing story. All right, so here we go. If you're just joining us, in a nutshell, she experienced these just traumatic events, like reliving it, afraid of night, afraid, night terrors, like, afraid of being sexually assaulted. She was never sexually assaulted. Her mother was. Her mother never told her. So it's like it's an inherited ancestral. Yes, mama.
That's the only way I get a word in edgewise. I sometimes put
I,
my hand up like I'm in class.
I
I have a question for you. Did your mom ever speak to you about this? And when she did, if and when she did, how did you connect? How did you connect the dots?
So my mother actually never shared that with anyone. My brother was actually the only person that knew, and at her 80th birthday, my brother told me, and it was around the same time that all of this was happening. And then I realized that that fear that I felt wasn't mine, it was actually hers. And that's how all the pieces start to actually fit together.
So how did your brother know?
So my brother's the oldest in the family, and before my father passed away, he shared it with my brother.
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And again, her mother was young when this happened, and she was whisked away when this happened, and she actually had a child due to this, and but she comes back after the child is born, comes back like nothing ever happened, and you can't talk about it. So that, internalized all of
Where
that,
was your mother born?
being able to Trinidad.
Your mother was from Trinidad as well?
Yes.
Okay. So
So
it's
you have a cultural thing too, I mean, you can't shame the family. I mean, I'm from an Italian family, you can't. I had to get married. you know, I mean, you have to get married. If you're pregnant, you have to get married. You know what I mean? It's like you can't shame the family.
And I think it was a totally different time. I think
yeah.
today
Mm,
we might be more open, but back then it was a big shame.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and it's not our fault. And I think
She was
that,
a child. Yeah.
yeah, you're a child, and then to have everything hush hush and don't talk about it makes you feel like it is your fault, and
Yeah.
it's not. and that's what I think the difference is between then and now is now we can talk about it. Now you can say, hey, I'm not the one that did something wrong. He is. He's the one
Mhm.
that did something wrong. That's where the blame goes. Now, your story, as it comes together, here you are with Diana. Do you want to talk about that connection or no? Or do you want
Sure. I'm
people?
I'm happy to. I'm happy to. So there is a shocking connection to Diana. Diana was the healer that I trusted to help me explore this fear and this terror that I had at the night. And during one of the sessions, what I learned was actually the person that attacked my mother, and I know this is a little unusual and a little uncommon, was actually the soul of Diana in a previous lifetime. And this was her opportunity to come back and to heal the one thing that perhaps she would have done differently.
Right? It's
Yeah.
pretty amazing stuff. The way we were talking about how the cycle continues, how you can fix things, how you can change things, and how it's you were supposed to go down this path. Nothing is without
Yeah.
a reason. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. Mama,
I
Sorry.
think your sneeze is contagious.
I told
You
you.
know,
Tammy.
She was supposed to go down this path for no other reason than to allow her mother's abuser to come back and heal his mistakes.
and to
But
also
in
and to heal me.
And
So,
to
yeah,
her.
when you read so many near-death experiences, what happens? A person gets to see their life in review in seconds, right? So
Yeah.
when we
yep.
pass over, what if that were true? And we do get to see our life in review, and what if we get to come back and
Hmm.
heal the things that we maybe would have done differently?
Yeah.
Well, then again, now you got all these different religions coming into play here, and like again, like I had mentioned before, with karma, dharma, reincarnations, all these types of things, you know, um, spirits, and all these things. They're different, but they're all
Connected.
human things.
Hmm.
Usually, attached to a human emotion. A spirit stays on because of a human emotion. A human doesn't, fear is like the biggest, fear or love or anger, those are like really big ones to keep a spirit trapped in this world because they're afraid to cross over because they think they're not going to be forgiven over there. So they stay here and continue to torture or torment or lust after or whatever, instead of going and crossing over to where they'll be enlightened. And so that's like our job as investigators in the paranormal to convince them that no, you will be forgiven. You will be okay. You do have ancestors over there. You do have loved ones over there. They will forgive you. It will be okay. You know, and and that's just one part of it. But when you have these things, and now you're doing the transcendental, so there's a lot of reincarnation. There's a lot of the karmic things are in there, and it's a good opportunity. A lot of people put a negative twist on a karma. Like, oh, I hope karma gets you. Well, karma's not a bad thing all the time. Karma can be, it's there for a reason. It's there to fix these mistakes because you keep repeating over and over again till you get it correct. And now you had the opportunity to do this firsthand. So you're not only correcting an issue that helped you, you're correcting an issue that helped Diana, helped your mother, help that guy. you know, I mean, it was a big full circle, and that's all due to your diligence and what you did and the paths that you chose and the people that you sought out, like John Newton. You know, explain what happened there and how he helped you in this process as well.
So John Newton is the founder of Health Beyond Belief, and he does a lot of ancestral clearing. So, before we were talking about how our bodies are infinitely intelligent and it holds trauma. It could
Mm-hmm.
hold our trauma or the trauma from our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
So those issues in our tissues we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not important that we actually know where it comes from. If we could actually just acknowledge those sensations in our body and breathe into it, oftentimes an image or memory will come to you and it may not make any sense to you. But energetically, 95% of the time, energetically, it's the same. So in that moment, in that stressful moment, in that memory that comes to you, what were you saying to yourself as a child in your mother's womb, or maybe from a previous lifetime or your ancestor's lifetime? What were you saying in that moment? And then you do the forgiveness prayer or the forgiveness recipe. And it does many things. It acknowledges the sensation in your body where trauma gets trapped. It gives that small, younger version of yourself finally a voice. And then through the forgiveness prayer or the forgiveness recipe, you're able to release it.
Right. And you do print it. I did. I printed it off. I really did. This whole thing in here is the forgiveness prayer. I mean, it doesn't even have to be that elaborate. All right, because it can just be something that you can remember yourself. It can be brief, just as long as it gets to the point, and it is about forgiveness and please and thank you is very.
So if it's
Yeah.
okay with you, can I say the last part, which is not religious?
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to remember it by heart. So please help us all forgive each other, forgive ourselves, forgive all people, and all people forgive us completely and totally. Please and thank you.
And now and forever.
Yes.
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 That's awesome. And it makes perfect sense. And where it comes in, and it's repeated through the book. And every time it's repeated through the book, it's at the perfect time.
Mm.
And in our intro video, where in your intro, your bio, where people came into your life at the perfect time, in the perfect order. Perfect. Get it? Perfect is a theory going on here. All right, so the perfect people, perfect time, perfect order, and nothing is not yes, mama.
The prayer of forgiveness. I know I'm kidding. The prayer of forgiveness is. Do you remember what page on the book it is?
It's towards the back.
112.
Okay. Would it be okay with you when the show is over? I will copy and paste it into the chats of the show.
So it's actually John Newton's prayer. He has it for free on his website called Health Beyond Belief. So it's probably not up to me to say whether or not it could
I will make sure. I'll the small part that you just recited. I'll print that with the link to John Newton's site.
Yeah.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
There you go. But I mean, it's just it's a tool, and it's a good tool, and it's a good thing. Hi, Chrissy. Aw, miss you too. Thanks for joining us. We only have about a half hour or so left, so I'm glad you came in.
Time flies, doesn't it?
It does. It
Yep.
does. So, all right, yeah, I know. And in a half hour, it's like, okay, what do I want to say? All right, so what are some practices that people can do to actually get more in touch with themselves, and get out of here and into here?
Sure. So, my free ebook that you talked about, totally free on my website. So I encourage people, please go get it. Awaken the Creator Within.
There it is.
And the simple practices are also included in my book, Perfect. And I made them especially simple because I know how crazy people's lives get. I know how crazy people's lives get. So we don't want more things to do, right? So they are purposely simple. So everything in life is energy, right? And what I found is that when I felt stuck and stagnated in my life, it was because my energy was stuck. So we are energy. We need to move. So that's the first one, right?
Yep.
The second one is we are creative life force. We are the creator of our lives. So we need to express our creativity. And when our creativity stagnates, what happens is it manifests as pain and sickness in our bodies as well. Because also, again, it's just stuck energy. So I encourage people to do things that are creative. You can paint. I play the classical guitar. And you can sing, you can dance, do something that brings you joy. But what I found is it doesn't even have to be that complicated, Gina B and Mama D. It doesn't. So I could be creative in terms of how I prepare my food for my family, how I decorate my home, how I do presentations at work. And children are great at this. How creative can they be when they dress? Okay. We need to express our creativity because we are a creative life force. And then just one last one really quickly. Gina B, what you mentioned before was that for most of my life, I struggled to find my voice because it was something I inherited from my mother. She was never allowed to speak about this trauma that she went through. And my healer recommended that I sing. And I'm tone deaf. But what I found is by singing, it actually opened up my heart chakra. It opened up my throat chakra. It opened up my other chakras. And it got the forward momentum moving so I can continue to speak. And, As a finance geek, I used to do a lot of presentations for work. So I would sneak out into the parking lot, get in my car, turn on the radio, sing at the top of my voice, get back out of the car, go back into the office, and do my presentation. And if anyone ever saw me, I'm sure it would have been comical. Singing really helps. So those are three very, very simple ones, and they're purposely simple.
Yeah, and that is great. All of those things are wonderful. I mean, I sing when I'm cleaning. I sing in the car. Poor Bob. When we go on long trips, I sing when I'm by myself. And again, yeah, I don't have a good voice for singing. I know I don't. And I gotta say, God bless you, Bob, for listening to me, because I think I'm great.
He's got a hidden set of earplugs in there.
Well, he's deaf, so, and especially
Okay.
on my tone, so it's a good thing.
See, whereas I will listen to music while I paint, and depending on the picture and whatever I'm pouring, will depend on the music. But more often than not, lately it's been country.
I go through phases. I go through phases because I do so many different creative things. I like now I'm into making the videos and the banners and the show ads and the things like that, and that is what calms me down, and I like doing it. I don't like doing it when I have a 3-page bio for someone, and I'm trying to record it, and I'll get all the way through it, and I'll mess up one word at the end, and then the cuss words come out, and then I
then I get a nice little voice message on Facebook.
Son of a what the God, I can't just read the words. But then I laugh it off with her, and then I go back to it, and then I'll get it, and I'll just and what I'll do, because I will be flustered, because I will, seriously read like a page and a half bio, and it'd be like the last line. I'll say something stupid, that's like not even there. Like, where are these words coming from? And I'd be like, come on, yell at myself. And then after I laugh with her, it's like, okay, and I got to bring the energy in. And I just have to clear the energy and just take the breath. And then I get the voice. And it's that voice. When I get that voice, because I always know when it's not going to go right. I'm talking too fast. I'm talking too breath, like I'm not taking my breaths. It's not right. And then when I get to that centered point is when I can actually do it. So it's like, why can't I just go to that centered point from the beginning? I don't know. Maybe I just have to bother Mama D.
Do you know how many times I've woken up to a voice message on Messenger, and I kind of go, okay, let's put the headphones on. When I get a message from Gina, first thing in the morning, I know it's going to be a house building message. My dog will be going, what the heck?
but at least you can laugh about it, and you can move on from it. You don't dwell on it, and it's a creative outlet. Inventing is not a bad thing either. It's not.
Yeah, so long as you don't do it more than 3 times, and then I'm going to hang you over the cliff.
I know.
I'm going, Bob, the cliff.
I liked you before this, Judi. You're not.
This is my fault.
Yeah, the cliff one is because now I'm going to find a good picture of a good cliff.
You're the one who brought in the cliff hanging and those.
The water in it. Bob's going to do the water in the face, and I'm going to hang you over the cliff.
No, touch the hair. No water in the face.
I'll give you another water example.
Okay.
So Mama D was talking about music before, right? When she's painting.
Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Emoto, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He did studies with water, right? So he would play different types of music and then freeze the crystals and then look at it under a microscope. So he would play very calming classical music, and then he would look at the crystals, and they were beautiful shapes.
Yep.
And then he would play, I'm sorry if anybody's heavy metal fans, but he would play heavy metal music and then also freeze the crystals and look at it under the microscope. And the ones that had the heavy metal music exposed to it, it was very distorted. So it's just interesting how sound and sound vibrations could affect our bodies as well.
Yeah. Oh, you can do that with salt on, if you pour salt on black paper, you put it over a speaker, and you could play tones, if you just vibrations of the tones, like tones we can't even hear. They make the most fascinating crystal art. It's like art. Beautiful symmetrical forms and such, and we can't hear it. but it's happening, you know?
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
It is. And those tones can actually affect you physically. They can make you nervous. They can make you hyper. They can, they can really mess with your system, kind of like an EMF can mess with your system, and they can make you paranoid and make you think you're seeing spirits or hearing spirits, and you're not. It's just a high EMF bouncing off of you. So
Mhm.
things that we can't see and we can't hear can definitely affect us. But if you get yourself into a good vibration, you get yourself a good center, you can protect yourself from those things. Hi, Scott. You're coming in late tonight too. Where is everybody tonight? How come everybody's coming in so late tonight?
The weather's so nice, they're all out,
I want to know. I'm gonna wait. No.
You have to have late notes when you come in late. Otherwise, this Gina here gonna have all.
Yeah, where's your hall pass, dude?
I don't have to have one.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. It's just a silly night. I apologize, Judy. I truly do, because we are talking about a very serious subject here, and I think maybe the levity is good, because it really is truly a heavy subject, And again, I'm just going to put this out here. I'm going to show the picture. Oh, Mama D just put up a novel. All right.
I think she put up the end of the prayer.
Yes, I did, with the link to John's website.
Oh, what a good girl she is. All right. So if you get Judi Millers' book at www.judimiller.net, Judi Miller, Miller.net. Perfect, the book. You get 5 free gifts. Okay, so that's if you purchase the book. Then you can get Awaken the Creator Within free anyway. Right? Just go to her site. She likes free things. She likes to give away free things. So it's a wonderful thing,
And my closet looks like I like free things.
Her site is beautiful too. I love your website. Your website is beautiful. Well done.
It is. It's got my favorite color. Can you tell? No, actually, you can't tell, but it is.
Yeah, pinkish. Yeah, but let's see. So we got time. Okay. Oh, we already kind of know. All right, explain. All right, because we got late people coming in. Explain how your life has changed then till now by doing this journey that you've been on.
Mm-hmm. So when I mentioned that I learned the connection to my healer, in that moment of revelation, I could have felt fear, anger, betrayal, but I didn't, right? I could have chosen a story that would haunt me for the rest of my life, but I didn't. Instead, I chose to see the miracle in the situation, right? So my entire life has changed because I've learned to let go of all the stories from my past, and also in every moment, to let go of the stories and truly just experience every moment as if for the first time. And life truly does become miraculous.
It does. Now, how did you how did you go from your healing, trying to do past life, to the healing, to your revelation, and moving forward? Now, the transcendental, how do I want to put that? What phase are you in? Like, where are you on that journey? Like, you want to go off to an ashram right now? I mean, would that make you happy to do something like that, or are you?
The husband might have a thing to say.
Yeah. I believe that, I don't know. I believe that our role is to expand and to create. So I don't want to go off to an ashram. I want to experience the world, and I want to expand and to continue to create in my life.
And isn't it amazing how like attracts like? Like, when you didn't notice any of this was around before, and now do you find it all around you?
I think it's more of a remembrance. I think we all know. We all have a higher knowing. And I think it's a lot about what you guys were saying before. It's just a matter of tuning in to what we already know and to remembering that.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That's interesting. I really feel compelled to share the story. And even though it's a heavy topic, I hope I didn't write it in a heavy way, because it's meant to give people hope. And I think so many of us, like we were saying in the beginning, feel different, unworthy. We feel incomplete, but it's the total opposite. I've had so many experiences in the book that I call almost like near-death experiences, and I've had communications with the beyond or with the creator, and I know that we could truly never get it wrong. I know that we're never abandoned, we're never alone. And if you change your perspective, your whole life changes because you can't see things, Gina B, like you said before, you can't look at things the same way anymore.
Yeah, you can't unknow. You can't unknow. Once you see it and you know that this stuff's going on, you can't unknow it. And shame on you if you don't follow up on it. You know, if you're shown a path for a reason, I mean, there's a reason that you're shown this path. Go down it. You know, and what's the worst that's going to happen?
And I think we doubt ourselves. I bet you everybody listening right now has probably had a situation that they couldn't explain, where they felt that someone or something was there, or something was looking at them, or they might have heard something, or they looked out from the corner of their eyes and they saw something, but maybe they doubted what they saw.
Yeah, yeah. Especially at night. You know, people will tend to their experiences at nighttime, which is a prime time for spirits to get in touch with you, because you're not thinking of your day to day, and they can speak with you clearer there. But a lot of people will just get afraid of that and think it's a dream and just forget about it. But journaling is great. You mentioned journaling. You have exercises in the book. So the book is not only just, I mean, it's in all right. No, I'm not even going to say anything. You have your book in 3 different parts. Why and how, and why is that important?
So 80 to 90% of it's written like a novel, like I was saying before, because I wanted people like Gina B to finish the book, right? Past the first 19 pages and past the prologue. And I wanted them to read it to the very end to figure out what that shocking connection was. And then there's a handful of pages which are reflections. So what were the key lessons that I learned that other people could actually apply in their own lives? And then a handful of very simple exercises, like I mentioned before, purposely simple, so we could really embody the lessons and incorporate it in our lives.
Right. And because everybody is different. Not everyone is living what she's, living what she's going through. However, this can affect you. This can affect me. This can affect everybody that's listening in a different way. And the exercises, they're simple. They are very simple, but they make a lot of sense. Again, it's just like, oh yeah, I get it. I see why, so that's your story. This is my story. And this is, and it's helpful. And journaling is like one of my main things that I really love to tell people that are having hard times, whether you use my little method of the circle things and just get it out of your brain and put it on paper so you can focus, but journaling is a miracle. I swear it is, and people can't write. Like Mama doesn't like to write,
It's not because I don't like to write. It's just that things come to me at odd times. If you can hear meowing in the background, I'm sorry, my cat's outside.
I'm not bad with you. You have a phone dictate.
Yeah, but it doesn't go. I suck at it. That's all I have to do. Okay, I will talk about it. I will. Yeah, I know. Here. Okay.
Oh my goodness, how cute!
That's Onyx. That's my baby boy.
That's my security system. No, I'm really bad at. I tell everybody, all my clients who come to see me, journaling. It's very important. I suck at it. I have paper, but when I do it. I'll have it over here. I'll have it over there. Yeah, hide your face. I make you laugh. I will have it in different places. I can't get it into one book. That's not me. Like so many people say, write a book. I'm not gonna write a book because it'll be over here, over there. I got stuff on my computer and stuff on my phone. I do write it down, but for me to go back and look at it, it's like I'll sit there and go,
that's not the point. It's not the point. It's the point of getting it out of here, getting on paper, getting it out.
I do that with my 15 minutes of release.
Releasing technique and form and let it go.
Yeah. And there's so many.
Before she hangs you off a cliff.
Yeah, there are many beautiful ways of learning to let go. So like you said, journaling and, through different actions that you're doing to get it out. But I also love to journal, especially in the morning. You could journal for guidance, meaning that we all have a higher knowing, a higher self, right? And especially first thing in the morning when that veil is, thin, we could ask every morning, what does my higher self need to know in this moment? And oftentimes you'll be actually amazed, just free form, right? For 10, 15 minutes. Don't look at it, don't read it until you're done. And oftentimes you'll be shocked at what you
Right.
wrote.
Right. And on top of that one, when you go to sleep, you can ask for those that guidance and those words to come to you
Mhm.
at night. So when you wake up in the morning, they will free flow
Yeah.
out of you. And a lot of people write their books. We've had get numerous
Yeah.
guests written a lot of these books behind me doing just that. You know, divine inspiration. That's saying I'm not even writing. I'm just my hand is going. It's just coming. And if you ask for it, it will come.
Mhm.
All these things that you ask for. That's what they always say. Be careful what you ask for because it will come. You will get it.
Mhm. And,
True.
it doesn't have to be so mysterious either. Like I mentioned before, I do believe that we have a higher knowing that exists in all of us. We just need to tap into it.
Exactly. Exactly. So okay, what do we got? Yeah, all right. I'm gonna ask the last question now. Well, we're still gonna be talking, but what's the message that you want people to take away from Perfect?
Mhm. So perfect is all about letting go of those stories, right? So when we let go of our stories, labels, and judgments, we could see everything through the eyes of love where there is no separation. So also, I just want to expand upon that. When I feel a contraction in my body these days, I say thank you. And the reason I say thank you is because my body's telling me that there's something that I need to heal. So, as I mentioned before, we have issues in our tissues, our traumas, our judgments, our labels, our stories get lodged in our bodies. And right now on the planet's contracting in so many ways. Our relationships, our political system, COVID-19, natural disasters. And I think it's the planet's way of saying, with all of this contraction, guys, it's now time to heal.
Yeah. You
It's
also
true.
put in a saying that I really liked. If you resist, if how does it go? Um, if you
What you
resist,
resist persists.
yes. And that is so true. I was like, oh yeah, I want to write that. I wrote it down on something. It's like on the backs of one of these pages somewhere. I wrote it down. I was like, I love this saying. The saying is
Mhm.
good, because it's true. If you resist the change, it's the insanity. It's doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results, and you're going to end up in the same damn place,
Yeah,
right?
you're going to keep
So
bumping into that same wall.
Yeah.
exactly. Ooh, a castle.
And
Ooh, a castle. The fish in the bowl.
and I love Byron Katie's saying, all suffering is created because we wish that what happened didn't. So we're not saying it's good or bad. The event happened and we can't change that, but we
Right.
continue to fight and struggle and wish that it didn't happen, and that's what's causing our suffering.
Yeah, learn
Yeah.
from it. Learn from it. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Mhm.
True. Yeah, you can't change things that happen at all, and it is how you deal with it. It's how you apply it to your life, how you deal with it. What are you going to do with it?
Exactly.
And
Like,
and if you keep it in, are you going to pass it on to your children?
yeah.
Mhm.
It's like how long, a while ago, a long time ago, I used to always want to go back and change something. It's like, hey, if I could go back and I would change this and just, but now I'm at that point in time where it's like everything that happened to me for a reason. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And there was some ugly. I'm honest with it. And but to go through what I went through, I'm able to help people now to avoid at least some of the hurdles that I went through. Everybody has to go through their own hurdles, but you learn to use what you went through to help others, to
Mhm.
maybe lessen the pain that they're going through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or if
yeah.
they have questions about it, and the coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I just sit there and go, okay, look, this happened to me, that happened to me. I did this stupid thing. I met Gina for her, and all of that happens for a reason. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yep.
Mhm.
You just have to
But
learn how to deal with it.
yeah, but physical too, physical pain and physical things that you go through that manifests and comes out. Like when you had to have your hysterectomy and you went through a lot, and the trauma of even getting the operation done. Should I? Shouldn't I? I don't want to wait. and then you finally you book it because you know you have to, but you're going through all these emotions, and I swear if you're not, your chakras aren't aligned, you're not centered, you're not in a good mood. Basically, happy is healing, right?
Mm.
Miserable is not. You're stopping everything up. Your chakras are getting stuck. Those wheels are not spinning. They are gunk,
Mm.
and then you have to have Reiki people or prana people pull that gunk out of you and just get rid of it. I mean, and that's basically from miserable, and holding
Yeah.
on to these traumas and these tragedies and and why are you doing it? Why would you want to hang on to this stuff? Why do you want to keep reliving this stuff? You don't have to. The point is let it go. Get it out.
Mhm.
Let the system, you know, let it run free.
And I think that's part of our job. Our part of our job is to keep our energy moving and flowing.
Mm,
Yeah, yes, because it
yeah.
doesn't just stay here. It
Mhm.
goes out here. When you see some people that can see auras, and you can see some people with giant auras, and then there's these itty bitty auras, and they're just walking around just miserable, because everything is so contained. But when these people are enlightened and they are just out there, it's like the sun shining. Oh, and what was that reference? What was the book?
The little
The
soul in the sun?
Yes,
Oh my goodness.
talk
Yeah.
about that because that's perfect for this point.
Sure. So, The Little Soul in the Sun is written by Neil Donald Walsh. He was actually the author who wrote Conversations with God, and he took one of his tenets and he made it into a children's book. And I used to read this book to my children every night when they were small. And in the book, everything is perfect. Heaven's perfect. And we cannot experience our perfection because there's only perfection. We cannot appreciate and experience light without the darkness,
Right.
good without the bad. So in the story, this little soul wants to learn about forgiveness, but there's nothing to forgive. So he begs God and he begs the other angels to do something so he can learn about forgiveness. But nobody will do the unforgivable. Nobody wants to raise their hand. And then finally, an angel of light walks forward and says, I will help you. I will help you. I will do something so unimaginable that you will learn forgiveness and you will learn unconditional love. And the little soul says to the angel of light, why would you do that? And she says, I'm doing it out of love, love for you. But when we go to earth, in that moment when I strike you, please remind me because I'll be pretending so hard to be what I'm not, I would have forgotten. So, my invitation for people is when something happens and you feel contracted and somebody says something to you that you don't like or they cut you off, right? Remember, it could have been that angel of light that raised their hand to volunteer because nobody else would, and that they
Mm,
did it out of love.
Yeah. See how this book is just so tremendous. It's just full of all these things. And as we're just talking, like these little bits will come to me. And it truly is. It's an amazing journey, and I love how you put these things together. Again, the perfect timing, the perfect place. So you're right where you should be today, and you should be very proud of yourself as to where you've come from to where you are now. You
That's
know,
very kind of you to say thank you.
and the amount of people that you've helped,
yeah,
because
and that you're
without a
going to.
doubt, for the book that you, and I have to go and read it now because y'all just make me have to read stuff, even if it's amazing. I'm being forced to read it. Okay, fine, no problem. But everybody who reads it will read it and get something out of it. This is my belief that every show we do, one person is helped. So every time somebody buys your book, whether it's that person who purchased the book or somebody that they help telling about the book. So
Give it
you,
as a gift.
yeah,
You see people struggling. This is a great gift book.
yeah,
It truly is. If you see someone that wants to even take that next step into spiritualism, or maybe you see them struggling with kind of like what your issue was, like, why am I feeling like this? Nothing has happened to me that warrants this. Why do I am I afraid of the dark? Why do I think this is going to happen? Why is someone watching me? Why am I paranoid? Why, and nothing's ever happened to me. I had a good childhood. I had a great loving family. I'm in a great relationship. Why? What is going on? All right. There's the answer. It's in that book. And a lot of people have no clue. They just have no clue why these things are happening.
Mm.
You know?
And and my invitation is, if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for those that come after you. And the reason I say that is because when I healed, I know this sounds unexplainable, Gina B and Mama D, but I saw the same fears be released from my daughter. She was less fearful of things she couldn't explain, and I never explained this journey to her until the book came out.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you're not doing it for yourself, do it for your children and your grandchildren and your great grandchildren, because it's important.
Yeah. And epigenetics is a big play in this, and it is true. It is true. These things are, the traits are brought down. The things that they lived are passed through our ancestors. And there is ancestral clearing, there is ancestral healing, there is those things. And then there are the two types too, because it's either epigenetics or it's a past life. And the past life could relate directly to your ancestors or not. Or you could be completely different people. But the basic thing is, why do you keep coming back? Maybe you need to correct something. So it stops with you and doesn't keep going, future generation after future generation. Stop that fear, stop that cycle, stop that unwarranted paranoia, and live your good life. Live your life you should be.
Yeah, be free, truly free.
Truly free. Yeah. Yeah. Just like look how calm she is. I mean, and here she was, and she'll sing. You want to sing?
You don't want to hear me sing. I might have to go out of my car and sing for you.
Like my daughter singing in the shower, but like don't sing.
Onyx is looking at me like, Mom, don't you sing. Don't worry, I won't sing. It's okay.
I heard the most amazing thing the other day, and you can probably find it on YouTube. It was crickets singing. And I've always seen this. So they take the crickets singing and they slow it down. And it sounds like they're singing and celebrating. And you can find that there's like multiple versions on the internet, on YouTube.
Nope.
But what it is, it's a demonstration that life is meant to be celebrated.
Yep.
And you can hear the crickets do it when they slow it down. It's truly amazing.
Oh, and you've referenced the song "Perfect" a few times in the book. And I had to go and listen to it. I'm like, I don't know what this song is, so I had to go listen to it. I like that guy. I'm like, all right, and I did it on YouTube. I subscribed.
So if anybody knows Ed Sheeran, I'd love to get a copy to him. But Perfect is a love story, a love song, and I was just writing the book and the song came on and it seemed like the perfect title. So it's not meant to be a love story between two people. It's meant to be a love story with all of us in the universe.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So,
and
we'll do a simple hashtag. I'm a hashtag Ed Sheeran.
There you go. Yeah. Energy work is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's not a new thing. It's not a new concept. It's just got to get that information out there. And you can, you got it. You got it. Like I said, you should have your own podcast. I really think you would do extremely well with a podcast.
And then I can come and interview you guys. Oh my goodness!
That would be worth the tears with me anyway. Gina, you already had your conversation with Gina, and that was only the tip of the iceberg.
I got to see some pretty amazing videos and heard some pretty amazing tracks.
Oh, yeah.
And if that was the tip of the iceberg, I can't imagine what there is left.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's out of thousands of things and pieces of evidence. What we're talking about is earlier when we were talking, we were doing a test for our StreamYard thing and it was the first time that we actually talked, in person. And she said, I was asking her all her questions, And she goes, well, I'm interested in what you do because of the paranormal investigating. And then once you get me on that, oh my God, it is a big shiny ball because I have so much information and so many clips and videos. Like you said, ugh, I've had computers crash that have had so much stuff on them. And it's like, it, it almost makes me want to cry to think of all the things that are on
It's
those
like you really want to know what she's going through. Once this corona pandemic quarantine shut the world down and everything sort of kind of gets a little bit back to what's normal, go on an investigation with her.
computers.
Her and Bob have these amazing, and I have never been on one, but it is one of my, it's on my bucket list. I'm old, I can have bucket lists. It's on my bucket list. And that's that she's in the States, you're in the States.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to go down by your neck of the woods, and there's a few places that I want to investigate down there. And if we do, we'd be having an event. I'd get in touch with you and say, hey, you want to come? You know, you can be
That'd be so cool.
There
That'd
are
be
2
so cool.
tickets at the door for you. Get your butt down there now.
But you know, how many souls? It sounded like how many souls are you freeing and helping?
Oh, a
That's
lot. And
incredible.
hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully Saturday we'll be doing that. You know, Bob and I are going on a mission. We're going to hopefully help someone on Saturday. You know, help a building. So fingers crossed, we're going to find out what's going on there and try to help. You know, and that's what we do. And it's like, well, this is the way I put it. You are like a counselor. You're a counselor to whoever's having the issue living and the spirit. So
Mhm.
there's usually a conflict there. What's going on? You know, either the spirit's mad or the people are mad because the spirit's just living their life. You know, but there's a conflict. So you got to figure out what it is. So you talk to the people and say, well, the spirit is, you know, banging doors and crashing this and doing that, and moving my keys and losing it, you know, all the, you know, rah, 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 rah. And then you go to the spirit, all right? You put out all your equipment and your EVPs and you find out, okay, so they said that you're moving the, are you moving this? You know, and you try to get, and you talk to them like I would talk to you or to anybody. And you talk to them and they answer you. And they will answer you in sentences, not just even one word, that you will get a conversation, you know.
Mhm.
And then once you find out what the problem is, you can fix it, and then it's one or the other has to go, you know. It's either you can fix it and the spirit can move on, which is the ultimate. You would want the spirit to cross over and move on and go where it should be, you know. And
How do you tap into that frequency, that audio frequency, that you could hear and understand them?
uh physically, or I mean, because on you can hear it on a recorder.
Just a regular recorder?
A digital, yeah, digital recorder. If you wear headphones, you can put the headphones into the recorder, and while you're talking, you can actually hear them because they're on a different frequency than we are. So if you record on a recorder and you have you know, you asking the question, your level is up here. You know, a spirit level is down below. So if you put it on Audacity or a wave pad or things like that, that you can see the waveform in front of,
Mhm.
you can see where the different megahertz, you know, where they are. And so you can tell where a spirit voice is. And the spirits, they whisper. So that's why you don't really hear them unless it's a class A or unless they're really yelling in your ear. You have a gift. Like I can hear them once in a while. And usually if they're really close to me and I have the tones and, it's like almost like tinnitus, you know. It's like a ringing, so it'll be a high tone, medium tone, low tone. Low tone, I will get nervous. That's not a good spirit, you know. A medium or a high tone, that's a good spirit. That's okay. I'm not worried about them. They're usually helpful. They're telling me what's going on. They're snitching on other people. They're you know, they're saying, you know, this is where you need to find this, and this is where you got to go. And they'll be like, I'm right here, and I'll have like a recorder in my hand, and you'll hear that loud. If they're right next to you, it's loud. You know, if they're off in the distance, you hear it. You know, but if you're listening with the headphones, you can hear it at that time, unless it's a class A, and then you can hear it with your ears. You know, or you play the recorder, just play it without amplification, without a speaker. You can hear it through Class A. Other times you got to turn it up. If you turn it up, you'll hear the ones on the background. They'll either be talking to each other like, "Don't tell them that. Don't do that. Don't." You know, the equipment we put down. They'll be saying to themselves, you know, like we'll say, "Oh, go ahead and touch that piece of equipment. It'll light up. It'll beep. It'll do this." And you hear them in the background going, "I'm not touching that. You can touch it. Don't touch that." You know, it's just like what you and I would say. And I have so many things like that on there. But for me personally to hear, I would have to get myself into that kind of like a meditative state, and I try to do that kind of stuff more when I'm by myself than when I'm with a group of people,
Mhm.
and I'll ground and shield and protect myself, but also I'll kind of like sharpen the eye up so that I know what's going on, and I like to do that before I take people in, so I know what's there and what to keep. If I'm taking, if we're taking a group onto an investigation that are newbies, you know, I'm not taking them and throwing them in the pit of hell, right? I
Mhm.
will not take them where a negative energy might be. I will take them where a positive energy might be, like a grandma or whatever, over here. So I'll take them over there. And, but again, so I trust my instincts, I trust my tones, I trust my intuitions, my guides come through, and that's all trusting your gut.
Mhm. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
And it's like, it's years and years and years of doing it, so. And I mean, yeah, I showed you some of the evidence that was just
Mhm.
crazy, right?
Mind-blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's real. So like I said, you can't unknow it. Like you can't unknow how to do this energy work. You can't unknow what you've learned,
Mhm.
and what do you want to do with it? You want to teach people. You want to
Right.
get your story out. You want to tell people about this because this could help people, right? So what I do can help people,
Mhm.
because they could be living in their house tormented, or thinking that they're being tormented by a spirit when they're really not. They're not being tormented. The spirit is just trying to say, "Hey, my will's in the wall. Right? Get in here, knock this wall down because that's where you're going to find the paperwork. Or I hid this here, or my story is this. This guy went to jail. This one killed me, not this one. You know, it could be any number of things. A ring, whatever. Something like I said, I had a thing about a quilt one time, and the woman was all because she worked so hard on a quilt. She had bad arthritis in her hands, I guess, and she worked on a quilt so long, and she was so proud of her quilt, and she didn't want the kids to throw away the quilt, you know.
Mm.
And then everything was quiet after that was out. It's just like it's the weirdest, strangest things that manifest when you ask and when you treat them like you would
Human beings.
like human beings, like like respectful and like you would as I'm talking to you. Like I'm not gonna come down to your house, kick in your door, and say, "Talk to me now."
Then I'd be like, "Da, da, da."
I know. I'm calling the cops now. This crazy woman at my door, right? So, so you don't do that. It is based on respect. It's mutual respect. But like I'm getting back to the thing about the being a counselor. So once you find out from the spirit what's going on, once you find out from the people that are going on, and it's like if the two can work together and live together, and the spirit doesn't want to go anywhere, then good. Then you work it out, right? If they can't and they're gonna fight, you either have to get rid of the spirit physically, whether you have to use whatever method to get rid of that spirit, whether it's a Native American type of a thing or a Catholic thing or, whatever tradition, whatever will work for that, to get rid of that certain entity. Or the people have to leave because
Mhm.
these two spirits, but the spirit might live with the next person coming in. They might be an enlightened soul or more evolved or more acceptable or more whatever. And then they will jive and there won't be an issue,
Mm.
you know? So it's
On that
basically
note,
it in a nutshell. Yes,
on that note, it's just after 10.
it is. Oh,
Mm.
oh. Well, I hope you people understood the concept of the book Perfect. And if not, I'm going to put these pictures back up again real quick here. All right. You will get 5 free gifts with the purchase of Perfect at www.judimiller.net, Judi. Okay. You will get 5 free gifts if you purchase that book. However, you can go there and there is a free ebook waiting for you. Awaken the Creator Within 8 Easy Ways to Open Your Heart and Live with Joy. That's free all the time. It's just free. It's on there because she's a sweetheart, right? So, please get the book. Please read it so you can understand a lot more of what I think. I mean, I hope to death that we got this message through as to how this, can affect your life and everybody else's. So I hope you understood. I hope you get it. I do, but I hope you get the book. And I do want to talk to you again. And I do want to see a lot more of you in the future. Doing more things.
Well, thank you.
More.
And
And
it's
when
been
you do them, make sure you let us know so we can help you by advertising.
definitely.
Yeah.
So it's been so much fun, Gina V and Mama D, and I'm waiting for my nickname.
Yeah. It'll come.
She'll come.
Yep, it'll come when it does too. Maybe I'll make you a whole video or an ad or something. It'll come. It'll come. But again, so thank you all. Join us all next week in the Fox Den, 8 to 10. We have Dane Stevens. That's going to be a really cool show too. He actually, he was a teenager and he went to a psychologist and they tried to force a traumatic event out of him, which actually left him shattered, homeless, lost everything, totally anxiety filled because of a therapist, you know? So be careful. If you always trust your instincts, always trust your gut too. So if you don't feel right, you don't feel comfortable, walk away. Okay? Just walk away. But thank you so much, Judi. And we'll see you next week. Y'all have a good night. Hang with us for a minute. Good night, everybody.